Good evening and welcome to another one of my music making sessions. Today I thought I'd try doing something not down tempo, but something with kind of a higher tempo, but with kind of a chilled feel to it. So we'll see how that turns out. So first things first, I'm going to set the tempo to 125 BPM because that seems like a nice kind of something reasonably lively, but not too over the top, and we're not going into jungle or drum and bass territory here. So I'm just going to cover the basics for anyone. If this is your first time watching, then hello, thanks for joining me. So forbidden tempo. So this is kind of my basic rack setup for my streams. It's literally just a maximizer hooked up to the output section in Reason. So it's not in the master section, it's on the actual output. So that's literally the last thing that the output hits before it hits the audio interface. Why I'm doing that, it just means that the master fader on the SSL mixer isn't going to affect this in any way. It's just literally everything that's going in there is coming out into the output. So I'll just leave that as it is. So it's just literally a 3 dB gain, just so we can hear what's going on. So here we go. So I figured first things first, I was messing around earlier today with some ideas, couldn't really get anything going, and I realized that a good approach for today's stream would probably just be to drag in maybe a sort of pad kind of patch, use some players, get some ideas going, maybe add some kind of rhythmic feel to it, and go from there. So I've realized it's been a while since I used Europa during these streams, so I'm gonna bring one in. So let's have a look at the patches. So this is a folder full of my own Europa patches. Not particularly clean or tidy or anything like that. It's just a big long list of Europa patches. So I'm going to head to the pad section and just pick one and see how it goes. A Bay pad, that sounds kind of nice. And it requires a wavetable, which it's not referencing properly. So let's grab that. Right, and that's a good start. I can always switch that out if I fancy changing it in a bit. So I'm just going to turn that down so that it's kind of around the -20 dB mark. I also feel like it's worth mentioning this week, because it's been incredibly warm here recently, I do have a desk fan pointed directly at my face. So if it's slightly noisier in the background than usual, that will be why. Mark David Avocado says, also, where's your Europa Relay stuff? Where can I get it? If you go to fieldingsoundworks.com, you should be able to pick it up from there. Although, to be honest, I haven't really released anything through the Fielding Soundworks name since like 2017 or so. So I have been thinking about kind of maybe wrapping that up and just releasing it as just Adam Fielding branded stuff, but that's a whole other thing. You can also get it in the Reason Studio shop. It's still available there. So yes, that's the Bay pad. So I'm just gonna, I believe that's actually a factory soundbank patch. So that seems like a good place to start. So I'm gonna create an instance of scales and chords, and let's go with A flat, Phrygian. I do like Phrygian. So actually no, let's mix it up. Okie dokie, cool. Let's add an octave down. So that's a nice little starter there. So right, let's just start drawing some notes in. I feel like I'm overthinking this already. So let's start with a G sharp, and let's just zoom that out a bit. So yeah, why not? That works for me. So let's have a repeat of that and maybe change up that G sharp for the next couple of bars. Let's have I think that'll work. think that's a good start. I'm not sold on that pad sound. Like I like it, but I feel like maybe something different would be better. So how about Clear Skies? We've had plenty of those recently. No, that's not really doing it. I'm thinking something kind of not too in your face. So let's. See, I didn't want anything too in your face, but I reckon if I roll the lows off that would be quite nice. I might also disable the delay and reverb, because if I want to add that, I'll use some external effects. So I feel like I should explain what's actually going on in this patch, if I can remember. So I've actually made a video on creating atmospheric pads using Europa. It's available on YouTube. I imagine I've done something quite similar here. So they'll be split into 3 discrete layers using 1 engine for each layer. The first layer is kind of this sort of breathy, noisy kind of sound. The second layer is this kind of clean, well, not so much clean, but kind of harsher layer. And the third layer, I imagine, will be sort of a low layer. That's generally how I work. I tend to have like a lower layer just to kind of round things out, something simpler to go along with the other 2 layers. So that's what I've done here. So I was thinking, because it's been a while since I used it, and it'd be nice to add some motion using something else. It'd be nice to bring in the alligator. So not particularly exciting at the moment. Let's do something about that. I think the first thing I'm going to do is change the pattern. So there's one that's kind of like a sort of rising pattern. So I'm just going to play it and see if I can find that. That's the one. So I'm going to increase the release. So I think it'd be nice to add some slight LFO modulation to the high pass filter in particular. So I've got this kind of sort of phasing kind of sound on the high end there, which I quite like. So might add just a little bit of reverb to that, not too much. I'm going to try and rein in the reverb a bit this week. So place your bets on how long it is before I start drowning everything in reverb. So maybe a bit of delay on that would be nice as well, just to give kind of a bit of movement. Again, I don't want to add too much. I don't want to go too crazy with the effects this week. I feel like that's kind of become a bit of a crutch during these streams. But like I said, give it a few minutes and I'll start drowning everything in delay and reverb. 5 minutes, 1 hour. I like the disparity between those guesses there. 5 minutes is definitely the way to go there. Buskin Bills asked, why don't you use the device's reverb? Well, because the alligator doesn't have a reverb. I'm assuming you mean the one on Europa. Basically because I wanted the reverb to affect the tails on each individual pulse coming from the alligator. So with whereas if I have the reverb coming straight out of the Europa, the alligator will be kind of chopping that up as well. I want the reverb to come after the alligator. So that's my thinking behind that one. So I'm gonna leave that alone just for now. I feel like that's a good place to start. And let's get some drums going. Let's create an instance of redrum, and this is where one of my very, very minor workflow enhancements will come into play. So if I go into my patches folder and the effects folder, I've got my usual kind of drum insert, and I've finally adjusted it so there's less squash on the pulverizer, and the threshold is finally turned up to about -3 dB, because before it was -6 dB, and every week I change that to -3, and I realized, you know what, that's kind of stupid. Let's just save it as -3. So that was my plan. So there's less compression, less limiting going on the drums. So I'm going to go into my Evolve Free folder here, which I've handily put in my favorites because I use it every week. So again, minor workflow enhancements. So I'm going to go into the kick drums folder here. So for those who are unaware, all of these drum samples are available for free on the Wave Alchemy website. So if you go to wavealchemy.co.uk, you can grab all of these for free. They're really good and well worth checking out. So kind of want something. Howdy. So I'm just going to create a sort of simple kick pattern just so I can adjust the levels and get that sorted. But I'm going to adjust the length on that because there's way too much boominess going on there, especially if I... Cool. I'll be augmenting the subs on that in a second. That's something I do plan on doing this week. So I'm just gonna draw in some kicks, and so you may have noticed I'm not using I think that'll be interesting. Not using beat map this week. Sorry, got there in the end. I was distracted by drawing in kicks. That'll be nice. Cool. I think that's just a nice kind of simple kick pattern going on there. So something slightly unusual but steady. So yeah. So let's get something kind of. Let's get some claps over the top of that. I want to use something kind of more clicky than snarey this week, I think. So that's a bit bright for me, I think. I might just use that. So that's kind of very clicky. So I might reduce the length of that again because that's quite. So it's really clicky. Just something really clicky there. So if I Buskin Bill, as I said, time to bust out the blocks. In fact, you're right. What am I doing here? Let's put these in a block. So there we go. Let's have a new note lane just for these kind of clicky snares. So I'm going to keep these quite simple. And just copy and paste that a few times. So I'm thinking it might be cool to have some more kind of clicky percussion as well. So I'm going to go into the hi-hats folder, but I'm going to very much use these kind of more as... I think that'll do if I really reduce the length to 0. So it's just this really kind of clicky thing. Now, I didn't bust out beat map for the kick and snare, but I am going to bust it out for some extra percussion. So I'm just going to bring that out, beat map, and just turn the density of the kick and snare right down. So we're still getting the hat and extra percussion, which I'll be adding shortly. So I'm going to go to the lava map and just click on Spawn XY and see what pops out. So I'm going to adjust the percussive note to D sharp 1, so that's on channel 4 on the redrum here. And I'm just going to dip into the sort of layering tools and abstract folder. Actually, will I? Actually, no, I'm going to go into the percussion folder. I want some percussion. So, just something, again, here we go, something clicky. I'll just reduce the length again. So it's really clicky. Buskin Bills has said pitch the kick down a bit. I will come to that in a second, but I have a plan for where I'm going to go with that, because at the moment it is kind of weak sauce. The kick is kind of weak sauce, but I want to augment that very shortly. Just want to get some percussion going first. I think that's kind of a nice start. Maybe turn some of this percussion down a bit. I'll probably add some more percussion in the form of loops and what have you in a bit, but I feel like now's a good time to augment these kicks. So I'm going to start moving this stuff around because it's a bit of a mess. So let's have a column for synths and a column for drums. And I'll call this pad. I'll call this drums. Nothing like good channel organization. So, right, I'm going to add a subtractor because it's been a while, and all I'm going to use this for is as a simple sine wave. And I'm going to use this to kind of create a nice sort of sub-bassy kind of thing. So I'm going to reduce the octave to 2 and turn the polyphony right down to 1. And I'm basically just going to drag in notes to match the kick, but also match the same note as the pads. So it's G sharp, D sharp. So if we go... So I'm going to have to turn that up because it's incredibly quiet at the moment. There we go. So I'm just going to beef that up. Actually, what I'm going to do is create an instance of saturation knob, because I feel like that would be good for the sub bass here. And just turn that up a bit, and so it just kicks in. So there we go. Basketball says, why not just gate out and turn off keyboard tracking? Because I am going to be playing it so that the notes match the actual chords that I'm playing as well. So that goes up to D sharp. So let's have that go up to D sharp. That percussion's a little too clicky for me, so I'm just going to turn that down a bit. So that was D, and I'll just copy and paste that. And that was A sharp, I think. Might reduce the release on that. So you may have noticed I've turned the polyphony down to 1 because I don't want more than one sub bass note playing at a time, because otherwise the low end will become completely muddy. And also I'm going to increase the attack because the kick is playing, and I doubt you'll be able to hear the attack of that sub bass anyway, and it'll just clear out a little bit of room for the initial kick. So yeah, I think that works. Actually, I'll leave the saturation knob alone. I think that's good. So I'll just call that sub bass. I think it might also be good to have like a kind of droney bass playing over the top, and I will break out the kick and sidechain the bass with that, which I'll get into in a second. So I will create another instance of Europa. I feel like I'm in a Europa mode at the sort of mood at the moment. That's my frame of mind. So I'll Basketball says VK2 incoming. I was very tempted, very tempted. If this doesn't work, I will bust out a VK2 because it's great. So yeah, wow, yeah, it's been a while since I used Europa for anything outside of kind of atmospheric stuff. So I want kind of more of a droney patch. So drone crackling right there. Let's give that a go. So it's got this kind of crackling sound, which I'm not sure is working for me. I might adjust this in the tune itself, but I'm just going to literally just copy and paste the pad lane into the bass lane. So because there's so much going on in the sub lows, again, I'm working on headphones here, so I can't hear massively well. I'm kind of going more from theoretical mixing here. I'm going to roll off the lows around 80 hertz on this particular bass drone. I'm just going to call that bass drone. So it's not super loud, it's just kind of there in the mix, just kind of doing its thing. I'm going to adjust the filter type to a 24 dB mode there, just because I don't want so much of the high end. I want it to kind of, in fact I might adjust it in. Oh, there's a dodgy note there. So I'll just adjust that so it actually sounds in key. And I might... Yeah, so I'm going to adjust the modulation matrix here so that I think envelope 1 is controlled. It's like creating this sort of frequency sweep as the bass note's playing. So I'm just going to reduce that so it's less varied. I could have adjusted the velocity of each note, as I've just realised here, because it's scaled to the velocity. But I kind of like how that's sounding, so I'm just going to leave it. I might make it a little less wide. So engine 1 has a unison applied to it, and I noticed 2 doesn't have a unison applied, so I figured it was coming from somewhere, so it's a number 1. So I just reduced the spread a bit so it's not quite as wide in the mix. So I suspect the balance between those two bass channels is something I'm going to come back to when I'm listening to this track on monitors. But for now, I don't want the bass drone to be too in your face, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. Yeah, I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to go back to the drum insert section here and do something that I do quite frequently, just create a spider audio merger and break out the kick channel from the redrum here, send that to this splitter here, send that back to the merger and splitter section here, along with the output from the redrum, which I've just rerouted there. So the output from this merger section is going to the insert section of the drums there. So now this should sound exactly the same. So there's no change. All I'm doing is breaking out of the kick and bringing that into the bass drone section here. So if I bring that into the dynamic section, I can use that as a sidechain for the bass. If I turn on the compressor on the SSL, and you can see it kicking in with each kick. So it just frees up a bit of headroom every time there's a kick played, so the kick and the bass aren't interfering with each other as much. It's very kind of light sort of pumping effect. So that's a start, I guess. I'm thinking as a block, I might break this out a bit further at some point and add to it. But I think I might start adding some percussive elements. So I'm going to dip into my samples folder, into the percussion folder, and I'm thinking something kind of organic. So we're operating at 125 BPM, so somewhere around there. I think that might do the trick actually. So I'm going to bring that into the track, and I don't want so much of that noise that's kind of playing. So I'm going to bust out an effect that I've used a couple of times before, and that is Beat Former. Lovely. Lovely orchestra disco falls. Always nice to be reminded. Basketball said, any chance you could solo the kick sub channel? I certainly can. So if we just listen to that. So it's literally just a simple sine wave that's going through a saturation knob that's kind of adding some extra harmonics kind of in the high end there. So you should be able to hear it more sort of if you didn't have a subwoofer or a particularly decent speaker setup, you should still be able to hear a bit of the sub bass there. Thor Inside has just reminded me to save, so I'm saving it. There we go. So Control S, all done. So yes, thank you for that. So yeah, so it's not a particularly obvious sound, but if you listen to it, like I can hear it on my headphones, which is surprising. I was expecting not to be able to hear anything. But I imagine if you've got a subwoofer, you'll really be able to hear that kick in. It just kind of fills out the lows a bit. So with the bass as well. So the bass is also ducking because the sub bass is playing at the same time as the kick. The bass drone is also ducking every time a sub bass note is played, which is actually incredibly useful from a mixing perspective. So it's kind of just giving everything a bit of room. So I'm just going to go back to the rack and open up Beatformer. And this is a super useful plugin I've used quite a few times before. So if I reduce the squash, that'll introduce this kind of sort of semi-gated sound that just kind of reduces the noise. So if I solo this, you'll be able to hear what it's doing. So might have a little bit of air as well there, and I'll just leave that as it is. It's a very, I like it. It's a very straightforward effect, but it does the trick very nicely. So I've turned on the insert pre-section here because I want the sound of that percussion to go through the Beatformer and then back to the SSL mixer, where everything is going to be going through that high pass filter, whereas if that wasn't turned on, the sound of the percussion would go through the high pass filter and then to the insert section. So it's nice. That's why I tend to use that. I've had a couple of people ask me about that in the past, so I thought I'd explain it a little bit here. So because the percussion, that kind of clicky percussion, is being triggered by the beat map, we're still hearing that even though that sequencer lane is muted. So if I unmute everything, just having a ponder. Yeah, I'm not sold on that particular percussion, so I might see if there's anything else in here I can use. Ah, that might work. Yeah, I prefer that. So we've got some shakers as well. So I'm going to reduce the squash just so it cuts out some of the noise. So cool. So I'm just going to copy and paste that. In fact, I might bounce that in place just so it's done. I don't have to leave the beat former in the track. So let's just do that. Get that out of the way. And that'll be like a nice little percussive lane there. So I'll just delete that. Let's put that there. I'm going to have the bass in a separate column and leave the percussion here. What have I done? I've made a right mess. Come on, Subtractor. Let's have everything together. So that's going to be percussion. I think it might be nice to introduce some extra percussion as well. I think for this, I'm just going to head into the loop supply folder, into the percussion folder. Let's see what's in here. It's been a while. So actually, no. Something I haven't used in a while. I might come back to the loop supply folder, but something I haven't used in a while is Roidos, which is a reactor ensemble, which I really like for kind of glitchy percussion. So I'm just going to open that up, and we'll turn it down in the mixer. And just have a play with it while I let the track play. Buskin Bills asked, what happened to building a new glitcher? Well, the idea was to build more of an effect, but I'm not going to stop using Roidos for kind of glitchy drums just because I love it too much. But all I've done here is I basically opened up a new preset. So for anyone who's unaware, Roidos is basically it's kind of like a generative percussion machine. So you have a sequencer here which triggers semi-random notes. You can specify which note's being triggered using this section here. So this specifies kind of the center value for the note to be triggered, and this specifies the range. So the wider the range, the kind of more variance there is per sample. So every single time the sequencer plays a note, it's going to play a semi-random note. So there's a whole bunch of other effects going on that's massively oversimplifying what's going on here. I've disabled the reverb just because I want it to be kind of clean. So I'm just going to play that and... So I quite like that. So I'm just going to take that. I want some sort of room for variance. So I'm going to just draw out a blank note lane, maybe halve that, maybe halve it again, just so I've got plenty to play around with. Just bounce that in place, just so I've got plenty of bits to play around with. And once that's bounced in place, I'll probably just remove the reactor ensemble from the rack, just so it's not sort of sitting there eating CPU cycles and messing up the rack. So I'm just going to call that glitchy percussion. I do like working with audio wherever possible, just so it's much less of a CPU overhead. You might have noticed when I dipped into my sample library, there's, you know, it's quite nicely organized. I went into that a bit last week. I just really like working with audio. If I can just drop stuff into a tune as I'm working on it, it's a really nice way of working. So I've just turned on the high pass filter on the glitchy percussion. I don't need the low end there. That'll just kind of muddy the mix. So I'm just going to play that. One thing I would like to do with Roydars at some point is bring in some custom samples. So I think in the past I've used the free version of Roydars. There's a free and a paid version. I've used the free version with a bunch of microtonic samples, which I've just kind of bounced and just brought in, which was a really cool kind of custom glitchy machine. I'd love to do that again. I just keep forgetting to do it because I love the stock samples and the sounds it's pumping out so much. I just haven't really felt a need to do that yet. But yeah, it's a great little beastie. So earlier on I mentioned it'd be nice to kind of extend this pattern a bit, so I might do that. I might also adjust some of those sort of snare hits. So yeah, just maybe kind of drag them around a little bit just to kind of add a little bit of variation. So yeah, just very, very slight variation there. So if I'm going to be using this block again, I want some variation there, and I might do the same to the second section here, maybe just move around the snare a little bit. Just have an extra note there, and maybe have, I don't know, just get rid of that and just, there we go. So that's kind of a nice little change there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to adjust some of these chords, I think. So I'll probably leave the first half alone. That's kind of nice to have that, and maybe adjust the second section. So let's have that go to A sharp, I reckon, and that can, let's leave that there, A sharp, and then I haven't had an F sharp. Let's bring that in, and I think that'll do. That's just very simple changes. So I'm gonna have to update the bass, which is very easy because it's literally just the same thing. So I just have to copy that over, and I need to adjust the sub bass. So that's that was A sharp, and that was F sharp. I'm thinking I might also increase the sweeping, the LFO sweep on the high pass filter there. Maybe add some to the band pass and low pass on the gate on the pad. So that's kind of a nice start, I think. So I think it'd also be nice to add some percussive variation for later in the track. So we've got that kind of acoustic click there. So I'm thinking maybe like an extra sort of open hi-hat I can bring in. I think that'll do. Just something kind of, yeah, something I can bring in. So I feel like the more percussive lanes, the better, really. The more I can play around with. So let's, oh no, what's going on there? Don't like that. Let's, my blocks must be aligned. There we go, right. I think it'd be nice to have some really tight shakers over the top as well. And I noticed when I was in the percussive folder, what was it, the percussive folder? Was it something else? starting to doubt myself now. I'm sure I saw a shaker around here somewhere. Maybe it was... Oh, there it is. So if I just bring that in, I want that to sound quite tight, so I'm going to reduce the length to... let's go, that'll do. So let's turn that down, and I'm just going to... It's going to be a very, very simple pattern. I just want it to be two very rapid notes that can just try and play next to each other. So just this kind of nice tight shaker over the top of everything to go along with the percussive layer as well. In fact, I'm thinking an extra hat. It might not be a bad idea as well. And that's kind of what I had in mind, like a nice kind of classic sort of sound. So that can kind of be the last thing that comes in, I think. So I think I'll stop with the percussion after this. I think I've got enough going on. So yeah, there we go. So that's a nice simple hat layer there. I might turn that down in a second as well. So there we go. So that's a nice start, I think. That's a good chunk to be playing around with. If I create another block, I might use that second section in there. So Basketball said, add an LFO to modulate the click's velocity. The question at this point is which click? Got two going on here. Mitch Mood. Yo, late to the game after sorting kids. That's quite all right. Hello. Nice to see you. So yeah, that's kind of a nice thing. So just to bring everyone up to speed, just create a block of various elements. Plenty of percussion to play around with here. I might create another block in the future. So now I'm thinking kind of how do I build backwards from there? We've essentially got the middle of a track here. This is my usual dilemma. Where do I go from here? So one thing I've really wanted to try this week was to create, in fact I'm just going to go to the song view here. So interesting, we've kind of got the percussion already playing at the start because we've got the beat map sort of triggering the percussive elements here. So I'll leave that for now. I might take that out depending on how this goes. So I'm going to create an instance of grain, because it's been a while since I used that. I think it'd be really cool to use maybe a factory sound bank sample to kind of create this sort of atmospheric intro texture. So let's give that a go. Let's go to the factory sounds and into the other samples. And while I'm here, I feel like where is it? I'm not going to be using that as an intro texture, but I just wanted to play it. So I think there's some really nice sort of electric piano sounds. I think that'd be good. Maybe not so much that one. I like the FP stuff. I think that could be interesting. So I'm just going to set the root note to the analyze note, and this will... So I don't want the high notes so much, so I'm just going to sort of crop that to the start and set the loop to forward backward. That's quite fast, so I'm just going to turn the speed down a bit, maybe turn the grain length. Oh, that's going to be a cool intro sound, I can already tell. So I think what I'm going to do is, actually I'm going to draw it in with this stuff, because I think I'm going to have the pad come at the start as well. Buskin Bill says that's sounding a bit dark. it is. I might bring that up an octave. Oops. I just brought something completely random. I think that'll work if I really roll off the lows. Be cool to just have this kind of... So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm just going to take that out of this block and just cut that and paste it out here. And something I don't tend to do with the grain, which is really, really silly of me, is I don't tend to automate the grain length that much. So I'm going to do that today. So I'm going to have it start really kind of choppy and kind of bring that in. So that's kind of cool. So I might automate the rate as well, the rate spacing. So get this kind of interesting, maybe not that much. Zulana said, maybe lots of reverb on that. Yeah, you read my mind. So it's been a good, I don't know, it's like half an hour since I decided I was going to drown something in reverb. I'm going to add a bit of reverb. I'm not going to go crazy. I just wanted to kind of fill it out a little bit. Because I quite like the sort of stutteriness of it. So I'm just going to... ASM said, grain is the rack extension I want to understand, but I don't yet. So this is really interesting, actually, because I've liked grain since it was introduced with Reason 10, but it's like I took one look at it, and I was like, oh, you can do this kind of stuff with Reactor quite easily. But it's like I really like it. Basically, I've massively come round to it. When it came out, I think I was so preoccupied with what was going on with Europa, I'd sort of just massively overlooked grain, and I think that was a mistake, because grain is a really, really, really neat instrument, and you can do some really good stuff with it. So it's definitely worth looking into. In fact, I'm just going to create a block here and just mute a lot of stuff. But yeah, grain is a fantastic instrument. I strongly recommend giving it a go. So I'm going to automate the decay on the gate at the start as well. So we'll have more of a kind of poppy sound on the pad, and I'm also going to have that filter in as well. So I've also got an idea for something else I'd quite like to add to this track, but we'll see how it goes first. Oh, that's interesting. JLix76 has said, just wanted to let everyone know, there's a new free VST from a developer called Disco DSP. It's OBXD, and it's a tremendous emulation of that classic synth. I've actually been meaning to check that out, and the Obsession Synapse rack extension as well. I actually discovered OBXD after reading about Obsession, and I'm very curious to see how they sort of compare to each other. Obviously, one is free and the other is commercial, so that kind of already appeals. But I'm a huge fan of everything that Synapse have done so far, so I definitely want to check out their offering. But yeah, OBXD sounds really interesting, and I've been seeing a lot sort of about it recently as well, so I feel like I definitely need to check that out. So that's kind of a nice place to start. I might use the entirety of that block. Let's get a good kind of 30-second intro going there. So I'll leave the high pass filter alone and extend that grain note. Maybe play around with some of the automation lanes a bit more, and increase the length of that the low pass filter on the pad. So. Actually, I'm gonna remove that high pass filter and just turn that right up, because I think I prefer it with kind of the sort of clickiness at the start. So I'm just gonna leave that alone, and increase the reverb on that DR1. Bring that back to about 60%, that's about right. So I might also have that kind of glitchy percussion. Because I'm using a beat map, I might have the density kind of fade in as well. So we start with some very sparse percussion that kind of becomes more apparent as that section plays. And I'll do the same with the percussion density as well. Maybe have that come in a little slower there. So just kind of painting with automation curves there. Actually, I might have the hat come in sooner, just because I feel like it kind of gives everything a nice kind of rhythmic anchor when the track starts. Basketball said, so are you doing into break, build, drop, or into build, drop, break? I was thinking, I mean, at the moment, I'm just thinking build and go from there, really. I'm not entirely sure. We'll see how it goes. But we're off to a good start, I think. I really like how that grain texture turned out, so that's quite nice. Buskin Builds was referring to the intro, so I'm thinking, yeah, just kind of build things up steadily, I think. So after this section, I'm probably just going to launch straight in with the kick and maybe fade out that grain. So we go to intro texture. Some extra elements. So yeah, I think I definitely want to play around with the decay on that pad just to kind of give a bit of variation. I might also introduce some extra effects if I'm going to be playing that same block again. I'm going to increase the release time as well on that. Just realised I haven't really been messing around with that. Maybe not quite that much. So I'm just going to play it from the start again, just to kind of give myself some ideas. Do want that to come down sooner, so So the next block, I think I'm going to introduce I'm not going to overthink this. I think I'm just going to introduce the bass drone, maybe add some percussion to this. See, this is why I really like working with blocks. We've already got quite a lot of stuff I can play around with. And I've got some ideas for at least one thing I want to add to this at some point, maybe have everything drop a little bit. In fact, 2 ideas I've got now. So I'm thinking of adding some extra keys over the top, some nice, simple, smooth keys. Quite a lot of delay. That's kind of, I think that'd be quite nice. There's plenty of space in the track, so I think filling that up with something that kind of fills that space out would be nice. Maybe some kind of like vocal washes, but maybe something a bit different. So we'll see. It'd be nice to do something different than the usual kind of sort of drowned in reverb thing. So yeah, let's just see how that's going. In fact, what I might do is bring in that glitchy percussion instead of bringing in that hat, and just have that kind of filter in during this section. So that'll just kind of fade in nice and slowly there. So I'm just automating the low pass filter just so that comes in over time. Thor Insider said maybe some RP stuff. That's kind of what I'm thinking with the keys actually. I've got an interesting idea that may or may not work, but I'll try that. And then if that doesn't work, I'll just stick some arps over the top. So I'm just going to add a couple of little dropouts in the drums just to kind of vary things up. Just little things here and there. I might do the same, just copy and paste to see what happens. That doesn't work, right. So just adding some slight variation just by muting certain notes. It's kind of a nice little trick. So yeah, I'm thinking I do need to add something there. It's been a minute and a half. I think I've squeezed quite a bit out of this this block as it is. So I'm just going to play this from the start again, and just think about where I want to go next. It might be nice to add one more block, maybe with some other stuff added, but we'll see. In fact, it might be interesting to vary up the pad just by adjusting some of the player settings. So I might try that. This might be terrible. Let's try it. was interesting. Right, okay, so I think we're getting somewhere. So just going to mess around with the release again and keep that going. Might not have that coming straight away in this section. Might be nice to increase the feedback on that delay during this section where it becomes more stuttery because I'm reducing the release. So yeah, I think this would be a nice place to introduce an extra element, I think. So I might be thinking it's kind of weird, why am I just drawing in random blank bits of audio over these spaces? So it's because I've got audio tracks playing in this particular block, which I'm using to arrange everything at the moment, basically. So if I want to mute certain bits of those blocks, I can just draw in blank audio. That does the trick. Another way of doing that would be to create a line mixer or something and automate that. But just for the sake of brevity and keeping things simple, you can just draw in blank audio. That works just as well. And it's the exact same principle as just drawing in blank sequencer parts here. So I'm just drawing in blank sequencer blocks just to kind of mute whatever's going on in the block. Maybe block isn't the right word to be using here for two different things. Yeah, that's basically what I'm doing here, muting stuff by just drawing nothing. Right. Jay Licker said, this may sound crazy, but I could go for some arpeggiated guitar in this track. Maybe not today. I feel like that's something that I might try if I wasn't in the middle of a stream. But I feel like that's not really something I want to be messing around with right now. But it's a good idea, and we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm just cutting that out a bit too soon. The problem is I'm having... because that's still playing. Beat map is still playing. I totally forgot that was still on. So I just want that to drop out for a bit. So I'm just going to automate the on-off switch. Just turn that off for a little bit. So there we go. Something about that's just not quite sitting right with me. Maybe if I just play one more kick at the end, that would do it. So if I just stick a kick in there. And just stick an extra extra sub note there. So that should be D sharp. That doesn't sound right to me. I think I may have made a mistake. Yeah, it should be a D sharp. Oh, have I just been playing the wrong note this entire time? This is the problem with working with sub bass on cans, is if I'm making a mistake, it's much, much harder for me to notice. So, that should be D sharp there, and I suspect that means that's wrong. Interesting. So that... Yeah, I've just been... Yeah, that's right. Okay. Just want to make sure these notes are right. I might have to come back to this later. Yeah, some weird stuff going on here. There should be no Ds. I don't know why I've put Ds in there. I think it's because I was using a... Oh, I don't know. We'll just go with it. There we go, right. Buskin Bill says, so did you all enjoy meeting Ryan's brother on Tuesday? I still haven't checked out that stream and I really want to, because Jesse Harlins, he's done some awesome stuff. So yeah, definitely want to check that out. Yeah. I mean, Ryan's awesome as well, so, you know. That's a talented family. Meanwhile, I'm sat here fixing subnotes I can barely hear. I've really enjoyed the Olivia Broadfield stream. That was really good, because I suck when it comes to music theory in general, so that was great. Really enjoyed that. Right, so I'm just gonna play this. Essa Fortune says, something about those chords is giving this a vaguely GeoGaddy vibe. I like this. I like that comparison. Let's have some extra shakers. So I want to keep that automation lane playing along there, maybe increase the release a bit. And I'm gonna start introducing some... Yeah, I'm going to introduce the extra element I was talking about. So I might actually drop those chords for a bit just so I can introduce elements. So what I was thinking of doing, I keep talking about this, what I was thinking of doing was just bringing in a monotone. And fantastic, I love the vocoder phrase. Fills me with glee every time I hear it. so I'm just thinking... I'm just thinking of adding... Oh yeah, save reminder. Excellent, thank you, Buskin Bills. So yeah, I was just thinking of adding a monotone as kind of like a very simple key patch. So I'm just going to leave the filter as it is, increase the envelope. Maybe just leave the resonance there. I'm going to roll off the lows, which is kind of funny when you consider it's a bass synth. I'm just going to call this keys so I know what's going on. And totally forgot that was in there. Excellent. So I'm just gonna increase the release on this. And turn the octave up because... Oops, that's the wrong oscillator. There we go. So I'm just going to keep it nice and simple and just add a really nice delay with kind of a nice sort of diffuse feel to it. So I'm going to turn the diffusion on and increase the amount quite a bit, increase the spread, and that should sound... So yeah, I really like the monotone. Again, it's as Buskin Bills just said, I've been loving that for the past few months. I kind of ignored it when it first landed, but it's real fat. It's sort of it's a synth that I just keep forgetting about, and every now and then I'll fire it up and be like, oh yeah, it's really neat. So I'm hoping it pays off again today. So I'm gonna add an instance of the DR1. And I'm going to turn it down quite a bit. So what I want is I want a really long tail on it, but I don't want it to completely swamp the mix. I just want it to really... So it's this really nice, lush, long tail that just accentuates what's there without completely blasting over the mix, basically. So I'm just going to play this, and I'm just going to kind of noodle over the top and see what pops out. Because I feel like without it being in context, so it's kind of hard to tell whether it works or not. So I'm just gonna play it. So yeah, I think I might decrease the filter frequency just so we get some more of those kind of softer notes. So I'm currently adding a DR1 every 30 minutes. That's so good. I love it. I love the analytics involved in my DR1 usage. That's fantastic. So yeah, oh yeah, should have hit record. That was really stupid. Damn it. So I'm just going to turn that down a bit. And yeah, I'm going to hit record and just noodle because I think that's kind of neat. Unfortunately, because of the way my microphone is placed, I can't really use two hands. But it's a monophonic synth, so it doesn't matter. So this is all working in my favor. So here we go. Let's pretend that didn't happen. I'd like a bit more variation with the velocity. So yeah, that bum note was totally intentional. Rip. So let's try that again and pretend that didn't happen. So, I might just leave that as it is for now. Maybe I might automate the decay of the envelope over that section just so it kind of stretches out a little bit there. So I'm also going to quantize that because that's a lot looser than I remember it being when I was playing it. J-Licker said, it's crazy, I love the Valhalla reverbs, but I end up using DR1 way more and I completely blame Adam Fielding for that. That's cool. Happy to take the blame there. Excellent. Yeah, I love DR1. I've been using it for years and I still have yet to use anything that kind of clicks with me quite as well. Like I think there's stuff out there that's technically superior, but it just musically it just fits really nicely with me. I do also like the Eventide Black Hole reverb. That's really nice, but that's more of a kind of creative wash kind of thing. And I haven't really used that quite a lot during these streams, so... Yeah, so I'm going to automate the filter frequency on the bass during this section just to kind of give it a bit of variety. I also want that the sort of gated pad to wash out a bit more. There's also one thing that I have been meaning to do. Vizaya said, honestly though, am I the only one falling back to RV7000? It's insanely good for being one that comes along with the software. I have a really soft spot for the RV7000. I still think it sounds fantastic, and I used it all over the place on my first album. In fact, there are entire tracks that just end with... In fact, someone mentioned Aurora at the start of this video, and that entire track starts with a wash of the RV7000. Like, the entire mix is being pumped through the RV7000. So... It's it's definitely, it's still a great reverb, and I love it. I feel like it has more of a kind of, for want of a better word, kind of a sort of grainy feel to it, and it's hard to describe. But I really like it. It's still a great reverb, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with using the RV7000. I think it's awesome. Sort of thinking maybe I should just drop the drone bass in this section. In fact, yeah, I think I'm going to copy that entire key section, just start muting bits of it. Maybe bring the bass back in there. Maybe drop that last note. I'm thinking it might be interesting to try using a kind of shimmery, grainy reverb. Now that we're talking about grain reverbs, I've got this in my mind now to have like a shimmer reverb on these keys. So I might try that. Oh, the Nasal Riser. Oh, it has been a while. It's been a while. So I want a big feedback wash on those pads. Yeah, SO40 said the monotone lead feels a bit distant to me against that bass note around measure 61. I totally agree, actually, and yeah, I'll come back to that. But yeah, I agree with that. I might just repeat that pad note and maybe so it kind of washes out and sounds right, basically. So I'm gonna copy the subtractor bass there, just and also do the same thing here. So no love for the RV7. Ah! Well, you know, one of these days I'll bring in the RV7. I'm thinking maybe if I start messing around with open chords. No, it didn't work. Damn. No, it's definitely... Yeah, that pad isn't even playing. What am I doing? Right, so... So that is... It's just playing an A sharp. Yeah. Odd, right. Yeah, as Fortune said, if you're still looking at the dissonance there, I'd just change the lowest note in the Marto sequence there to line up with the first note. Yeah, I was kind of thinking that, but, Yeah, I think it's something around there. What I'm going to do is listen to the track from the start, because I think there's some issues with the flow generally, especially around here, so we can work on that. Definitely needs bongos. Yeah, that just sounds really awkward. Things getting very metaphysical in the chat. You may have redeemed bongos, but who shall redeem you, clobber nut? Good lord. Excellent, yes. Save reminder. So what I'm going to do is, I mentioned this briefly last week, but it was more of a sort of spur of the moment thing. So instead of using a nasal riser this week, I thought I'd vary things up a bit by using a actual noise riser for a change. So I'm going to create an instance of Thor. I know this is going to seem like a shock to many. So I'm just going to create a noise oscillator and set that to static. So the interesting thing about this is it just sounds kind of crackly and a bit nasty if you just leave it like that. So I'm going to disable, actually I'm going to leave the low pass filter on, turn that right down and have the filter envelope sort of the attack really long there. Actually I'm probably going to use the mod env on this because I want it to be tempo synced. So, actually, I'm not sure if that's going to be long enough. We can try. Right. So I turn that down and turn the density up so I can hear what I'm doing. So I'm going to route the mod envelope to the filter 1 frequency. So that should, oops, if I don't start knocking everything over, so that should just kind of fade in over the course of a few bars. And also, and it just drops very suddenly. So I'm also going to use the mod envelope to control the density of that static noise. So if I go to noise mod there, and just if I turn the density right up, set that down to about minus 69, nice. And just go with that really. Maybe turn that down a bit. Damn, I would quite like that to stay. Unfortunately, there's no sustain on the mod envelope. So, never mind. Never mind. So, what I might do is just stick that through a reverb and hope for the best. I do want that to come right down though. So you get this kind of sort of staticky sound. So I'm going to put that through a high pass filter as well. And just turn that up. And just have that play for a few bars there. I think that should be right. Well, let's find out. So unfortunately, I am going to increase the filter frequency so that comes in a bit sooner. Maybe not quite that soon. So I'm hoping that sort of extra addition there will make it a little less jarring. DJ Darker said, "Hey Adam, hope I don't have missed much. I've just now the time for Twitch." Well, so far, I've been obsessing over this little transition section here. I think I've got it sorted now, though. I think that works considerably better with that little sort of noise riser thing going on there, so... What I might do is also automate the filter frequency on that monotone, just so it comes in a little more slowly there. So I'm just going to play this from the start again, just because I need to give myself a bit of perspective and save the track while I'm here. Because I feel like after this point I can add a couple of bits, mess around with what's there, and just kind of go with it really. So I'm going to automate the high pass filter on that though. Let's try this again. Also, it's a bit louder than it was before. Just mess around with some automation on the fly, that's always fun. Yeah, that shaker was weird. I think what I might do is just have that filter in during this section here. Also, that rising bass is it just sounds a little weird. Like I feel like this track has more of a, it's not a particularly intense sounding track, so. Jaylicker said, I'd love to see numeric values in Reason's automation lanes. Yeah, me too. I'd love it if, like, say the SSL mixer lanes actually had any correlation to what was actually going on whatsoever. That would be nice. Yeah, I mean, there are numerical values in the automation lanes, but yeah, some of them are kind of quite arbitrary. Still not entirely sold on that, but I'll come back to that. I was also going to bring in that shaker, but I want to be able to have control over the shaker volume later, so I'm going to create an instance of the ECF42, and I'm just going to route channel 6 from the redrum, which is the shaker channel, into that filter section there. Bring that into the merger, the spider merger, which has the kick and the rest of the redrum in there. So I can just use this ECF filter basically to control the shaker filter frequency. So I can just automate that, and then we'll have this nice sort of fading in shaker, which will be nice. I can also add a bit of resonance to it, which will be interesting. I don't tend to use the ECF's resonance very often these days because it does sound quite harsh. In fact, what I might do is just bring the shaker back in. I'm obsessing over the shaker, and just stretch that out so it comes in. Does that work? I'm just going to leave that for now. of course I'm going to have to mess around with this. Basketball said, if you watch enough of Adam, you will see how his approach works. I love his not messing approach to automation. Yeah, automation. It just works. Yeah, so I'm going to chop that out. Actually, I'm going to... Oh, that's all in one piece. Good. I sort of forgot about that. Excellent. Tom80 says, oh, again, I'm late. You really need to change that lane colour. You're not a fan of the purple. Oh. Let's have a nice pink. So I'm gonna maybe bump the filter frequency up after that point. So and bring that pad back in. Actually, no. I've got another idea for what I'd like to bring in there, but I'll come to that. So, I was thinking of adding some vocal washes, but not kind of the typical sort of over the top, like maybe something kind of shorter and repeated a few times. So this might turn out really badly, or it might work, but we'll see. I'm gonna stick the noise riser in the percussion column because it is kind of percussive, and keep these sort of under control. So what's going on over here? So we've got pads, we've got grain textures. This is kind of the pads and textures and key section, and this is the bass section, I guess. All right, so let's have an audio track here. I would filter the shaker a bit out with resonance and then bring it back. That's an interesting idea. Oh no, I filtered it out too much. Now you can't hear it. That's kind of neat. I like that. Thank you, DJ Dark. So, right, okay. So I want some kind of sweeping vocals, but I want the reverb to cut off when they come in. So like they sweep in and then cut off. So I'm going to stick that through a ECF42 and hope that works. So let's have a listen to that. Where's that gone? Where have you gone? Where are you, audio channel? Oh, I hate it when this happens. Go to track. There we go. Right. So let's call that Vox. So if we audition that. Hello. Good, good. So if I just disable this here. Here we go. I'm in Reason. Right. Excellent. I can pitch correct all of my problems away. Right, there we go. So I do want more wash on that reverb there. So now I'm going to automate that filter so it kind of just filters in and out. There we go. So I'm thinking if we get some kind of like vocally chords going, that'd be kind of nice. So let's just duplicate that and try again. So the next one I want will be Basketball's asked, has anyone seen Drabbit today? I haven't. In fact, I totally forgot to post anything on Reddit, which is super lame of me. Yeah, I should definitely chuck him a message the next time I sign in. Maybe that filter goes out a bit too soon. Have that fade out there. Get rid of that and copy and paste that. So, I think this is working. Okay, that's kind of working. Yeah, I like how the filter's kind of keeping that vocal wash under control. It's a bit of a change for me. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. I might replace that with another note. Let's just have a try, so. Yeah, I'm not sold on that. Then I might bring the pad back at that point and then go into a more sort of built-up section, I think. fact, let's bring the pads back there and automate the correct filter frequency, just to have those fade in. At some point I might need to add another block just to vary things up a bit more, even if it's just a static note. Buskin Bills has said it's sounding more like a 4-minute track tonight. We'll see where it goes. Right, so let's just bring that out again. I think what'll be good would be to have another. It'd be good to have another kind of feedback wash there. So if we just bring in, let's crank that up to like 105. That's always a good kind of rough target. Not this time. Not this time. Like let's bring that riser over. Maybe 8 minutes. You owe us a few weeks. Oh, you guys. Yeah, that's not happening. It's not feeling it like a Sunset Waves track, which I did very much enjoy working on. I still have no idea how that ended up being 7.5 minutes. That was crazy. What I might do is just bring that over and trim the start of those vocal parts and the filter fades so that it all matches kind of with the section before. So getting a little kind of sloppy with my audio handling here, but I'm planning on adding some stuff over the top of that anyway. So let's try that. And I still didn't sort anything for you to chuck your bits at. I'm sorry. That sounds way seedier now that I've said it out loud. I don't like that at all. Okay. In all fairness, Buskin Bills, you did say for you to chuck your bit at. I did add the S. Bits does sound more sinister than bit. Although, I don't know. I'm doubting myself. Anyway, I'm going to gloss over that and add another audio channel. And get rid of that filter. And this is going to be another long tail, but not actually that wet reverb. So I'm going to roll off the lows quite a bit here because I'm going to have like some sort of falsetto-y vocals, I think, to see if that works. I don't want to overdo it with that, but we'll see. I'm thinking both are bad now you've said it out loud. I know, I regret saying it out loud. I apologize. I've ruined an innocent phrase for you. Right, yes. So, hello. Hey, right, okay. Problem is, I can't hear myself. Right. Looks strange, but sounds nice. It's funny. That's very similar to the wedding vows that were read to me. No way. No. Right. Someone's got to get that face on a t-shirt. No, please don't. Oh God. Right. Let's just correct that. I'm thinking like some extra kind of melodic element, like some kind of pluck just at the start of that section. Like just it needs something extra, and then I'll begin the fade out. And yeah, I reckon it'll be about 4 minutes. So Buskin' Bills, you called it. I'm going to listen to it from the start again and just have a ponder about what to do next. So yeah, I think I just wanted to bring those keys back, and I'm also going to add that shimmery reverb I was talking about, which I never actually added. So I think that'll be quite interesting. So yeah, some interesting points. As I was playing it, well, Jaylick said, if Reason Studios can make a t-shirt out of Olivia Broadfield's rhyme scheme sketch she did on their live stream, they can make one of Adam Fielding's singing face. Let's gloss over that. DJ Dark 2015 says, the clicks in the beginning are really harsh. So you might have noticed me adjusting the levels on a couple of channels on the redrum as I was going. That was kind of to address that. Unfortunately, I'm listening on headphones, so I've kind of become a bit desensitized due to me listening to the track on for an hour and a half on headphones. Well, about 2 hours now. So it's kind of tricky for me to know how that's sounding. Like, everything sounds a bit harsh to me at the moment. So but I did kind of notch those a bit, so fingers crossed that's helped a bit. I'll come back to this tomorrow and adjust that. But also I need to ride those filters out a bit longer. So yeah, that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. DJ Docs also said, nice low bass, sounds so crisp and clear, and the bass foundation, which I think is kind of funny because, again, I don't really have a sense of how subby the bass is. I'm going kind of from visuals alone at the moment, so I'm trying not to overdo it, but I think with the way the mix is set up at the moment, it should all be separating quite nicely. So I'm glad that it's actually sounding okay at the moment. So that's great. Jay, like I said, I really like how the percussive elements turned out on this one, which is awesome. Always interesting to see how things turn out. I like it sometimes to use kind of clickier elements instead of snares. Sometimes I kind of feel like that lends itself better to a track than to just kind of go in with a really big kind of poof, sort of hard-hitting snare. So that's really interesting, and there's some talk about what people are listening on. So that's interesting. It's interesting to know kind of what people are listening to these streams on. Just because, again, I'm just on headphones, so I'm just going with what I'm provided with at the moment. So yeah, I'm just going to carry on working with this, and maybe add some more variations to this section here. Just mute and unmute some parts. I also remembered that I've got a whole other chunk of this glitchy percussion which I'm going to bring into the track, because at the moment I'm not using all of it, so I'm just going to bring that in and maybe just take it out of the block altogether, to be honest, because there's not a lot of point in keeping that there. So yeah, let's go with that. So yes, I need like a sort of shimmery reverb kind of thing. So I was thinking of dipping into my patch library and bringing out Old Faithful Neutron Fifths, except I'm going to be using this. Actually, that's the wrong place. So this is a custom effects chain I've used a couple of times before. I'm just going to bring that in as a send effect. And it's basically a neutron particle emitter, which is like a sort of buffer, grain effect, delay kind of effect, and pitch shifter, which goes through a DR1, because everything has to go through a DR1. And the DR1 is controlled by this smear knob here, and the neutron is set to transpose everything up 7 semitones, so you get a perfect fifth. But I'm kind of thinking maybe it'd be nice to just have an octave up. So on the actual kind of delay tails, it will be transposing everything up an octave. So that'll be interesting to hear with that the key channel. So I'm just going to turn that on. Doesn't really have the effect I was going for, so I might turn the smear down. I think the problem is it's going through so much reverb as it is. This would be kind of ideal to pass through before the reverb hits everything. So amusingly, oh, actually that kind of works. Right, I'm gonna knock that one on the head and just create an instance of Ubic G, which is also great for this kind of stuff. So I tend to use this grain echo patch as kind of like a starting point. I'm going to turn the dry wet up because it's an aux send. So I'm going to just transpose that up 1 octave, and I'm going to turn the iteration. I'm just going to leave that as it is. So that's essentially kind of a feedback knob. So that's how much is fed back into this kind of granular pitch box. every time. So if I increase the grain size to max, I just want to hear how this sounds really. So that's kind of what I was going for in the first place. So no disrespect to the neutron effect there. It's just not what I was after this time around. So I'm just going to disable that, edit the automation, just have that kick in at the end of the track. And here we go. So there's quite a lot going on here. I feel like I need to bring the release down on the pad just to kind of make it a bit more stuttery, a bit more choppy at the end of the track, because there is so much going on there. I might also turn the iteration down on that Ubic G. There's just a bit much going on there. So what I'll do is automate the iteration and just have that kind of come in more as that section progresses. Also, I really want that the filter frequency on that bass to kind of ride up and down during that section. So I'm just going to bring that over. So I think I'm going to bring the riser in again. I really want to do something with that riser just to kind of give it a bit of variation. So just thinking what I could tweak to do that here. Answers on a postcard, please. I might just bring in some chorus. Some delay feedback playing there. And just automate that so we get kind of more of a sort of warbly, washy kind of effect on some of these choruses. Some of these transitions. Some might have that kind of shimmery effect fade in a bit as well. Oops, I automated the wrong thing there, so just have that fade in. And maybe not have the filter frequency coming quite that high on the keys immediately. That's another thing I could do to vary these transitions up a bit, adjust the dry wet on the reverb. So let's just have that completely wash out. I think that'll work nicely. So actually, I think in that last section, I'm not going to use the reverb so much because I quite like this the staticiness on that noise wash. In fact, I might just knock that out. So DJ Darker said, I think it needs to rush to the prop shop. I also like that Yuhi effects. It's really, really nice, but unfortunately, I don't think you can get the rack extension version anymore. But I believe the VST version is still available, and it is a great effect. So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you're into sort of granular pitch effects. Yeah, so if anything, I might actually have less reverb on that section, because I think that'll be kind of nice. Just have the tail afterwards, yeah, I like that. Okay, and then just go back into that final section there. Buskin Bills. What? Less DR1? You will? Yeah. I guess I had that coming, really. I am a bit of a fiend for the DR1. Just a bit. So, yeah. Actually, I want some extra feedback there on the keys. The release back up there and have that fade out. And I'll also bring the shaker down as that's on its own lane there, so I can just have that filter out. Just So I'm just going to copy and paste that a few times. And now I'm glad I have that outside the box. I'm also going to have the glitchy percussion sort of filter out a bit as well, just to bring that out nice and slowly. So I was sure I had something on the sort of gated chord. Yeah, there we go. Right. Then I'll just drop the Right, let's try that again. And I'll also automate the beat map so we have the hats just kind of roll off as well. And also have that percussion fade out as well. Nice. Nice little disco stab. Damn, I don't want that last little click. Right. There we go. Right. There we go. Excellent. Right, sorry, I'm gonna check out the some of the comments here. Sorry, yeah, just going back. Apparently some people had audio issues. I hope that's been resolved now, because it seems like nobody's mentioned that since. Apparently some people are getting storm. Oh no, wait, no. Clobmo said the forecast has been for thunderstorms all week, but we've yet to see any. I would quite like a storm at the moment. That would be fantastic. DJ Darker said, Yui, yeah, only VST right now, but for $149 you get the full pack of 9 effects. Yeah, they're really, really good. Definitely worth checking out. But I picked them up as rack extensions years ago. They were withdrawn from the shop a few years ago for various reasons. Yeah, it was kind of a shame. But yeah, I was lucky to grab them at the time. Yeah, I also picked up a Yuhi A as well, which is an awesome reverb. So yeah, so it's kind of like around 4.5 minutes. I think that's kind of a nice figure. So I think I'm gonna leave that there and just play it from the start to the finish, and just kind of roll with it, really. So I'll play it from start to finish. If anything kind of grabs me or grabs you that you'd like to see in there, then let me know. There was some extra kind of bits I was thinking of adding, but actually kind of like how straightforward it is at the moment. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 channels. That's always kind of a nice number. So yeah, I'm just gonna play this and see how it goes. So I'll keep quiet, and here we go. Just realised I haven't got a name yet. So if you've got any name suggestions, hit me with your name suggestions in the chat. Right, here we go. Yeah, I like that. I'm happy with that. Cool. I'm gonna save that. Right. I had some interesting ideas for track titles. And some other comments. No, I'm not calling it Snortle Combat. There's no snort in there. Why would I call a track without a Nasal Riser Snortle Combat? Come on. Oh, it's like you guys aren't taking this seriously. Right. Monkey Plus Plus, I said, holy crap, I actually caught a stream. I've gotten a ton out of these. Thanks so much. You're very welcome. Thanks for joining me. I really like Busker said, I still think you need to lose the kick sooner. I think the problem is the kick is so inextricably tied with the sub bass. Like if I lose the kick sooner, I feel like I'm just going to lose most of the track. I kind of like how it ends on just that kind of one kick. So I'm going to chalk this one up to creative differences. I'll probably listen to this tomorrow and come back to it and be like, damn, he was totally right, and just throw it in the bin. But for now, I'm gonna leave it. Had some. So had some interesting suggestions for track titles. So Storm Approaching was one of them, which I really like that title. The main problem I have with that title is my first thought was Storm Approaching is like, something evil is coming kind of. But actually I think kind of thinking about it, I really like it. I like the idea behind it. Thematically, that is 100% a great title. And Typo was saying, no, I think Basketball was saying the kick is too tight. Yes, Typo is excellent. So I don't know, actually, maybe I'm just gonna go with Snortle Combat. No, Weather Warning, Solar Plexus. Solar Plexus is an interesting one, although I'm pretty sure BT has a track called Solar Plexus, and I don't really want to go with that. So Haunting Humility. I like Storm Approaching. I like Storm Approaching. In fact, the kick too tight thing is that's actually given me a really good idea. So I mean, it must have been about half an hour since I brought in the last instance of the DR1. So let's stick a DR1 on here and just have that smush the kick a bit at the end. This will probably sound awful, but. Just a little reverb on the end. So 125 Wavefront. Again, Wavefront is I think the tempo should be 125.001. Don't tempt me. It always really annoys me when I'm going through sort of sample libraries and stuff, and there's they've used tempos at like 123.758, and it's like, why do that? What's wrong with you? So Wavefront is a good title, except there's a sample library, there's a sample company called Wavefront, and it is nice though. It's a really nice title. I was going to say Stormfront, but no. It's a shame because there's amusingly in Huddersfield and a couple of other places, there's a Apple reseller called Stormfront, and I don't think they've kind of thought through the fact that they share a name with a sort of far right message board, which is unfortunate for them. Anyway, I do like Approaching Storm or Storm Approach. Storm Approach, I think, is good. I think I'm going to go with Storm Approach. That's a good. Or I'm just going to call it Storm Approach instead of Storm Approaching. So Storm Approach. There we go. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. Right, Basketball said, how do you know that? Just too much time on the internet. So yeah, anyway, I am going to leave the track there. So if you've joined me for tonight's stream, thank you so much for joining me. If you're on Twitch, then stick around for a few minutes afterwards. I'll be sticking around for a couple of minutes. And if you've watched this on YouTube, then thanks so much for checking it out, and I hope you can check it out next time. I'm really happy with how this track's turned out. So as always, I'll be having a re-listen to this track tomorrow morning with a fresh pair of ears. I'll make a few tweaks to it, come back to it, and talk about what I've actually done to it at some point in the future. So until next time, thanks so much for joining me, everyone, and I hope you have an awesome weekend. Cheers, and see you next time. Bye bye.